Hello, everyone. Welcome to the episode 4 of How We Grow with Jim today. How are you, Jim?
Doing great, thank you.
Of the view behind seems like you're a bit in the sky, paradise, lovely.
I am from Lisbon, so pretty close to paradise.
Nice, nice. The weather seems like to be good, so
For now, yeah.
that's nice.
In
And
45 minutes, the sun is going to be in here, and it's going to turn from paradise to hell with 50 degrees Celsius. So I'm enjoying what I can. Then I'm running inside.
nice, nice, nice. So today, again, new topics coming on the table, mostly a big topic, but we do work this last week hard, and so the last episode topic was mostly product hunt. What is the win when you use product hunt for lunch and different information in with that. And the cool thing is, last two weeks ago we released the Chrome extension on product hunt and everywhere. And this week we reached like 6,000 users, which is a pretty good, and that start to drive some user on the website. So that's nice. Just FYI, we still continue to update you about the project that we are working on. So this was for the last How We Grow episode, and today we will deep dive a bit more on the design, the branding, and those kind of things. So early 2026. So in January, as we discussed during the first episode, we decide to build new products from scratch, including the name, branding, new website, and everything. And we come out with also a new name, which was Omnia, and a new website. And today we will see how did we come from Omnia to Kai and the new branding. So first of all, I will show you what was the old website, and then I will ask Jim that handle most of this project with David and with a special guy called Dave, which is a branding specialist. And then we will deep dive on what we can do with this new branding, how it's work, and what does it look on the website and overall in the app, etc. So if it seems good for you, Jim, I will start a bit to show the old website. And I found from the very, very old branch in Vercel. I was like, dang, it was the whole website. So
Nice. Yeah.
I will first share my screen. Here we go. This is it's named Kai, but it was Omnia. But this is the look of the old website, which was pretty good for V1. So basically, I don't even remember. Do you remember, Jim, why we had the name called Omnia?
Well, yeah, it's Omnia means everything in Latin, and so what is now Kai is like this assistant that handles everything. So we thought, okay, maybe Omnia is like that assistant that does everything for you. So that's the origin of the name. Yeah.
This is the origin of the name. And then we decide to implement this little icon that every AI company that have today, which is just a circle. And also it was something that we add on Morgan. And yeah, the website look like super basic. Today it's our new website with the new name, our mascot, everything. Look different with the same structure. And what we are doing now from this week and the next week is redesign everything. So this is for the context. Now let's start a bit deeper on what we do everything. So we see what was looking Omnia, and then first question for you, Jim. So you handle most of the project. You was a bit the leader of this project. Why for you it was important to rebrand first and not just redesign the website, because we can keep just Omnia, this icon, and redesign and start to do something great.
Yeah. Yeah, so for the context, Omnia and what you just showed, like the design identity and even the name and so on, came out of a 5-day hackathon we had in Zurich, where the only criteria for success was like speed and shipping. So we did not invest much in what are the feelings that we want to convey about the brand, what's the feel, what are, the name even that came up pretty quickly. And so we knew from the get-go this was like kind of the internal project, internal name, and just for the sake of shipping fast and learning a few things. And so we kept that identity for a month or two, and then came the decision of branding. Really, it's not really a rebranding. It was more like, okay, what brand do we want to build? And it really started from the idea that now everyone is shipping super fast with AI. Everyone is automating a bunch of stuff. So how do you differentiate? And we already talked in some of the previous podcasts that we differentiate with content by showing like the behind the scenes and leading with the human part. So that's one thing we do, it's communications. The other thing that you're left with when everything else is automated and every product is very good is the brand. What do people feel and how do people remember you after they've seen your product? And yeah, we knew we wanted something memorable. And so yeah, we decided to build this new brand. And so we contacted this guy, Dave. Dave is like, yeah, like you say, a branding specialist, and David came across him on LinkedIn after seeing a video of how Dave is rebranding a toilet paper company. And we saw this video and we were like, okay, we need to work with this guy. Like, he's super creative. And the cool thing is that he doesn't have much experience in software and tech. And so we thought, okay, if we collaborate with him, not only we have a very talented guy and creative guy, but he's maybe not so biased by like the tech industry and what people do, and so we have a chance at doing something different. So yeah, then we got in touch with this dev guy, and that's when it all started.
Mm. Yeah, nice. And if I remember the first time you told me about Dave, he was super hype with the project because, as you say, we work a bit differently. Here, we want to build a structure for AI to understand our branding, and then being able to create whatever we want with this.
And and that's the thing, like, just to add on this, when we started talking with Dave at some point, like, we knew we wanted to work with the guy, but I remember I sent him an email after a couple of chats, and I was like, actually, like, the way we work is extremely AI native. Like, not only the product is AI, but also everything internally is AI. And so what needs to come out of this project is not necessarily something for us, but something that agents and LLMs can interpret and build on top of. And so I shot him a message, basically like, we don't need like a PDF with colors and illustration, like a 50-page PDF that no one's going to read. We need instructions for agents on how and when to apply specific things so that we can start building like a system around that and then a pipeline to generate more and more. And so when I told Dave that, he responded like, oh my God, I'm so hyped now, because he's been trying to build something like this for more of his clients lately. And we were kind of like the first people to come forward and say we also want to build that. And so I think for him it was an experiment. For us, it was also like trying to make brand and AI collide. And so yeah, that was kind of like the guidelines of the project. Is we want a memorable brand, something that people that makes people feel something, but also that we can then internalize and give to agents so that they do more of this job themselves and not just depending on us humans.
Nice, nice, super interesting. The way that I love the way that David come across LinkedIn and then the story, the full story. So yeah, you had this first discussion with Dave, and then do you remember a bit more what was the first speech? I mean, you describe a bit here, but did you give him some ideas, some things to iterate on? Like, I don't know, you can cross this brand, the whisper flow design or something like this, or it was like just free. Dave, we trust you. Come with some. ideas and then let's go on. If I remember, the first thing that he worked on was the name, right? Or overall, all the name and the assets and the things.
Yeah, it was the name and the logo. And what we did basically, so we wanted him to lead the project, right? Like as the creative person, we didn't want to contain him too much in a corner and give too many guidelines. We wanted something original. We only gave him like 4 or 5 brands that we liked. One of the brands was his own, like literally his personal brand, and he has a website and so on. And we said like this is really great. And we also gave post-hug analytics, which they have this very differentiated branding. And we also said we wanted to have a mascot. And I think with this, he basically took it from there. And his process was basically, I remember like the first call was really asking us a lot of questions on like, how do you want people to feel when they interact with your product? And I remember we came up with the adjective familiar, like it needs to feel like they've already seen it somewhere, and like it feels like an old friend they haven't seen, and so on. And so they really took these emotions that we tried to describe and then used those to create names and a logo around that, really to match what we were seeing. And the interesting thing is he's always coming up with not only the end asset, but also the entire journey. I'm like, okay, you said you wanted familiarity. So I started looking into old cartoons, and these old cartoons, they have these big eyes. And so I thought of this character, he shows the character, and then this character, blah, blah, blah. And there's like a whole journey, which just makes sense. And so yeah, he suggested like 3 or 4 different names. Some of them we didn't like, then we iterated a bit more. Then we landed on Kai, and then he did the same for brand directions. And yeah, that actually took us a bit more time, a bit more iteration to nail. But yeah, that's basically like the overall process.
Nice, nice, nice. And then we come out with a branding that so the name Kai, definitely. I know everyone knows it. But you come with the logo, the name, some assets. So I will share some of them right now. Here we go. So this is the brand that they've built. So name it Kai, with the icons, the logo, and etc. Fun fact about that is I think it was during the second hackathon that we had. You, Jim, and David showed this icon, this logo, and people was like, we missed something, Kai is also a mascot. We missed something, and and David go just on the paint and had the two eyes, and then it come also with that. So it was a little fun fact about that. And yeah, so they've come with a lot of assets, the mascot, some marketing icons, some illustration, and also those adds more idea about the energy and the identity of the brand, and yeah, look pretty good. But the thing is, Dave, sorry, come with also other branding, and I think you have more information about that. To be honest, I just see one thing. I was like, it looked very, very great, very, very beautiful. But yeah, we had to make a decision.
Yeah, so actually like you said, this brand is something we had initially discarded for several reasons, and we went for something. I can show you a bit what was the general direction that we initially went for. So there were 2 types of brands that came out. The first one was with this guy. So this nearly was the logo of Kai and how it interacts with the world and how it behaves, and this hand drawn illustrations that you see here with the mascot is something that we actually decided to keep. But yeah, this was the initial mascot named Kai, with these pixel dots here, also like AI interacting with a handwritten signature. So it was really like these 2 worlds colliding. That was the first one, and here are some like designs that you showed also, like the advertisements, the posters, and so on. So a lot of that we kept. This was the general direction we actually liked. But then we took some ideas from the other brand, which Dave came up with, which was this other logo and other brand identity. So this is the logo of the other one. And he went for something darker. It was like kind of a ghost. And when we looked at this logo here, we were like, it's funny. It looks a bit like someone that's like, like nearly waving something with its arms. And that's when we thought, okay, actually, maybe we can take that, make it the logo, make it the mascot, and integrate it into the world that we saw up top here and that we liked. So out of these two artistic direction Dave showed, we were like, okay, let's take some ideas from here, some ideas from there, and then merge both worlds. And that's how the little green guy you showed came about. And yeah, I think that's all. And then once we had that, Dave started like really going further in designing the identity, from icons to the tone of voice, to different poses for Kai, the different emotions with the eyes and so on. And we would always like approve or give feedback and so on. And at some point we had locked that in, and it was the moment to kind of make it agentic friendly or AI friendly. And so Dave actually started building this massive folder where I asked him to explain in plain text how he was thinking about a creative when he was making one. So for example, you showed these big posters with Kai and someone sleeping and then big words there. I asked Dave to create a file where he explains why he thought of this idea and then the creative process on how it came to life. Because we knew that once we had the creative process and the rationale in text, then it's something that you can give to Claude, and Claude can take that and generate more assets on top of that. So we basically asked Dave to kind of pour his creative brain into text so that it's a skill or a file that we have and that we can use with agents to reproduce other assets. And so, yeah, I can show you maybe the structure that we have. Yeah,
for sure.
So the structure that we work with now, it's this Kai branding folder. And first of all, there's like 13 different files. Each file covers a different step. So you have the color palette, and I can show you quickly how it's built. But so it's a markdown file, and it basically explains like what are the different colors, when to use it, what are the exact token in CSS value that it corresponds to, and also like the equivalent for the app, and then really the rules. For example, the first rule, we're using cream color whenever using Y, and then we explain a bit more, right? And so again, the whole idea is when an agent reads that, it sticks to the rule, and then when we ask to design a landing page, it just pulls from there and builds a landing page. And so we have other types of file, like the typography. So this is everything related to the font, the logo system, when to use what logo, and so on. So it's really typically what you'd have out of a PDF that a brand guy sends you after a 3-month process. But instead here, instead of being a huge PDF, it was really just text written on why decisions were taken and what are the rules, and so on and so forth. And so he also sent us like a bunch of UI icons for marketing, for product, and so on. And so all of those were in the asset folder. So let me also show you what this looks like. It's just for context, because then what we did is we took what Dave gave us and we built like a pipeline for Claude. And I think that's the interesting approach on the branding that we did. But so taking, for example, some of the marketing icons that Dave came up with, this is an example, right? This is Dave's creation of this calendar, which is kind of like hand drawn with the cream color and a big blue rectangle behind. I'll show you another example of another image, for example, of this one. Again, big clock, hand drawn with a thick border doing the shadow. All of this is handmade in Adobe Illustration, and then Dave sent us those documents. And he sent us maybe, I think 16 of those, 20 icons for the app, a few posters. And so the main question was, how can we kind of scale what Dave did so that we don't need him always on the team? Like, he's a freelancer, he does branding projects, he's not like a brand marketer that we can hire full time. And so we thought, okay, we need to keep his learning and keep his expertise without actually hiring him. And so that's why we worked with him on detailing the exact rational process, because then we were able to create more of these images using code and have our own pipeline. And so the pipeline, we tried a few different things, but I think what we have now and what works is that we used what's called a LoRa approach. So LoRa, I don't even remember what it stands for. I think it's like low resolution or low reference. Let me check LoRa system. Okay, so yeah, LoRa, it's like a low rank adaptation system. And so we're using a tool called fal.ai to create this LoRa. And basically, it's kind of like you train your own machine learning model with some images. And then this LoRa system is going to be using those images to create more. So it's kind of like you generate your own folder with all the images that are references. And then you can, by simply prompting, you generate more images of the same style. And so we're using a LoRa system that we built with fal.ai. And then we've wired everything through APIs and specific skills in Claude, so that now the only thing we have to do is run a skill which is I think actually I can just ask in plain English, like generate a hand drawn illustration of I don't know, a teacup. And if I send this Claude, and because of the way we built it and where the information is documented, is going to find this pipeline, going to use the LoRa system and the fal.ai APIs, going to send a request to fal.ai, and in about 2 to 3 minutes, is going to come back with 4 images that are like perfectly on brand. And then what we did on top of that is, now that we have the individual image, so for example, here it's going to come back with just the teacup, so the cream illustration you see here with the thick border. Then what we did is simply do like composite of a different system. So we would, for example, merge this. We would merge this blue rectangle with the hand-drawn illustration, and that would become like our final asset. And then that's something that we can use on our website and so on. And the cool thing is, we do that with every different type of assets. And so now we have a brand that we can build and that we can really scale. And we just need to ask AI for what we want. And if you don't even know what you want, you just ask AI, hey, let's brainstorm on some ideas. Here's what I want to do. And then you end up having it. And I also want to show like a cool example of something that we shipped recently, which was like an email that we sent to our users. Yeah, so I want to show you like an example of something we shipped last week when we invited some users to try Kai. We sent this asset, which is this door behind, opening its door, Kai in the middle, and then it just says, "You made it, come on in." Right, and this is I think a great example of something that is perfectly on brand as per the rules that we have in our repo. Everything is custom made by the AI. So this door was designed by AI. The mascot was added in front with AI or with a composite pipeline that we have. The typography is also perfectly on brand. This "you made it" is something that when it's written like this, it means that it's Kai speaking, right? And here it's really Kai entering the room and saying, "You made it, come on in." And so that's something we sent actually to 1,000 people who were on the wait list. And now our goal with Lambert and I is to, now that we have this design system, we want to make the website like look absolutely awesome, and then of course every other marketing assets around it. So yeah, I guess that's most of what we build, the infrastructure, the different pipelines that we have, and also like this LoRa system to generate more assets on brand with AI.
Nice, amazing. I will give a bit more thing that we did with all of this branding, because as Jim said, we have all of this documented in tokens. So they've tokenized everything, and AI LLMs can understand what we do. And the cool thing is, 2 weeks ago, Fable 5 come in, fucking amazing model. A bit disappointed about the situation right now. But the thing is, we had Fable 5 and I-Field MCP coming on at the same moment. And what I just did last week, it was I asked Claude, okay, let's take our documentation about the branding, and I want to do some video using AI to do a trend, and then come up with some fucking amazing plans that I will share with you. Like it was super impressive because so Claude communicate with I-Filed MCP and then create those kind of plans where you can see animated Kai here, for example, with emails, and yeah, this is basically all with the with this combination of the Dave work and what the LLMs can do now, and same. David don't mention it, but last week he also created some Lotties. Like I remember 3 years ago, I was about creating my own Lotties, and it takes a long time to create any Lotties. And then just by prompting, you can create those kind of animation, those walk loop.
But in the meantime, what's cool? So yeah, Fable 5 helped us do these lotties. Up until a week ago, we thought it would not be possible because we tried with Opus 4.8 and we couldn't make these SVG mascot move. And then Fable just came and did it. And of course, then we created a skill on top of that. So now we just run /kai-animate and you literally describe what you want. And so yeah, as a joke, we did like Kai is doing like a breakdance move, split opening his legs and then jumping, and it does it. Like it's great. And so now it's also what we're trying to implement on the website is having this Kai interacting with the different blocks and so on and moving all the time. Now let me check what's the status of the images. Okay, I think it might be ready. Yeah, it's ready. So let me share my screen again. Yeah, so this is the stage of the images. They're now ready. Let's open them, and this is what they look like. So these came from the fal.ai pipeline that we have, and so there's 4 different variants. And for example, I quite like this one. I think it's the most on brand. The other ones have some defects. So maybe, like this interaction here with the coffee looks a bit weird. So I don't like it. But I think, yeah, this one is actually quite nice. And so I would probably use this image. And then in parallel, what you can do is you can create a Lottie of Kai moving his hand and like, moving his hand next to his mouth. And then at some point, we will be able to create Lotties with this mug, Kai grabbing it and then drinking its tea, And then because we have this whole branding system around Kai, once we have this illustration, we can also just tell Claude, okay, like what's the best copy that works with this animation, and then Claude will come up with something cheeky and something a bit wry that Kai would say because of the tone of voice and the branding guidelines that we have in our folder. So yeah, that's like first step of the asset generation, kind of shown in real time.
As David said, what a fucking amazing time to be alive.
Yeah,
This is a pure example of this combination with AI and design. And again, I think is a very important thing to keep in mind. It's super important. It takes a long time to build this brand system and all those tokens. So it's maybe now, and we'll let you the mic right after. But to me, it's very important then to invest on this than just iterate by yourself, trying to do the thing with AI by yourself. Here, we decide to hire someone to do this, like fucking amazing guy that have a lot of experience on branding, on design and that kind of thing. And then he built this for us, and we can iterate on a lot of experiment, videos, Lottie, cool design for the website. And yeah, I think it's super important. And yeah, I'll let you the mic about that. But do you have any recommendation around that? Because we did that. I don't see any other company doing that on LinkedIn or any blog post about this. Maybe we are one of the first. I think definitely because the timeline is a bit linked with what we can do now with AI. But yeah, any
the whole point why we did this is actually no. The way we use AI is always like let's hire the best people, let's learn from the best, and then let's try to see what we can then identify. And I think that's the key learning from working in AI now heavily in the past 10 months is anything is doable if you have the right context and if you have like the level of expertise required to deliver a great output. And so the first thing I'd recommend is hire the best guy on earth to do whatever project you need, whether it's design, whether it's marketing, if it's paid ads, hire a fucking professional and then see what you can automate. If it's outbound, the same. If it's branding, the same. And then document the process. Every step of the process that is manual, document it, lay down the thinking with the person, lay down how they think, how they work, why they're taking specific decisions, and then show the output. So in our case, we had these 5 or 15 different assets, depending on what we're talking about, that Dave created by hand. And that generates like our database. And then if you build an AI system on top of that, then you can do anything. So these are really the key steps I'd recommend. I think we got actually fairly lucky. We landed the right system fairly quickly. The file, the second system I tried, and I think it was the one that worked. And then it's just a bit of fine tuning. You try an asset and you're like, okay, it doesn't quite work. Then you iterate a bit on the prompt and so on until it's perfect. Because then once it's perfect, you can just scale it and you can hand it over to the team and so on. And then I guess this will only become more powerful. So as there are better models that come up, we'll be able to do even more things. And so when Fable 5 was out, was it last week? Yeah, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Last week? Then we miss it.
Yeah, last week. 3
I
days
wanted
only.
I wanted to push the model a bit, and so I wanted to try to generate something a bit crazy, and so I literally asked Claude like, hey, let's try to really push this, and it came with something like this, which I thought was just a brilliant animation on AI and on what's doable, and also perfectly applying like the branding identity. So yeah, of course, this was a one-shot prompt, by the way. So there's a lot of little iteration that we could do so that it goes from good to awesome. But I just think like the creativity of the model, like to come up with an idea like this, and then the quality of the little icons that are moving like this, how the different images change to create something bigger. I think it's brilliant. And I didn't do much here. Like I literally open Claude, run the skill. We have a skill to generate like these little animations, these little kind of videos. And I just told it like, hey, use the branding folder. Let's come up with something fun, a bit out of the box. And it just did it, So yeah, I can only imagine in 1 year or 5 years, the kind of assets that we'll be able to create if we were able to do something like this, 5 days ago.
Now the challenge is to redesign the website, which is not that easy because, as I showed you before, we are like a good website at first, but need some iteration. And now the challenge for the end of the week and probably the next week, it's gonna be to have this website, that are not feeling just AI SaaS generated website, but fucking amazing website with amazing design. The goal here is to come from those kind of design. So this is the design now that we have on the meeting page, which is okay. We have the information that are important for users, but the experience is not that good. And then I'm trying to work on this new landing page for all the website. I don't know if it's coming up. So now we can use Kai with the animation that Jim talked about, and come with different effect and different things on the website. And that's probably the topic. The task that we are working on this week and next week. So yeah, here also a big challenge to make sure that everything is aligned and create a memorable website and make sure that people want to hire Kai at the moment they click on the website. And this is
And I think there's something interesting as well is like this whole topic of brand and design. Like at the end of the day, what we want is when people see us, whether it's a LinkedIn ad or it's a website or it's the product, like to be like, whoa, you know. And we came across a recent video of Steven Bartlett from the Diary of a CEO, who explained that like the best investment he made back in the days with his marketing agency was putting a huge blue slide in the office, which makes zero sense. Like people were even like, why do you have a fucking huge blue slide in your office and you don't even have like monitors, you know? And it turns out that this is the kind of stuff that shocks people. And if you make this much effort to build a blue slide or to build a huge website with guy interacting with elements and so on, and good colors, good blocks, good storytelling from the website to the marketing assets, is people think if those guys do this, then the product must be insanely good, because that's where 90% of the effort goes, right? And that's really what we want to win with. It's like, we want to shock people, we want to be memorable, and we want people to think, okay, if they put that much effort in this little thingy, everything else must be awesome. And I think, yeah, this is also why we decided to invest in brand from the beginning. I think a lot of people would tell you, don't invest in a brand, don't pay a designer for a logo. Like, it's way beyond the logo, it's way beyond the name. It's the system, it's like the feelings that we want people to get. And we would never get there without investing several weeks in this brand. So yeah, I think for us, it's been a great investment, and it hasn't really paid off yet. I think the investment is going to pay off over the next years, but it's very promising for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think we should rent an office in Lisbon and then put a big rocket with Kai on it. It could be amazing.
Yeah, let's do that.
Nice, nice. What are we expecting for the next week? I mean, the launch
For
is
the
soon now.
Yeah, so we're going to be launching. So we're going to continue launching in waves. So we're still in open beta right now. We're onboarding 20 people a day. We'll be keeping this pace for the next 3 weeks. And then there's some internal discussions, we'll be arriving in July, August. We're not exactly sure if that'll be a good time to launch. So TBD, we might, open the beta a bit more, start onboarding 50 people a day, 100 people a day. But there's some internal discussions on when we want to do the official big launch. It might be for September, it might be sometime in the summer. There might be multiple first time launch. So let's see. But what we can expect for the next weeks is, the website is changing rapidly. So we're taking the design system and implementing throughout the different touch points that Lambert and I are working on. And then, yeah, more SEO, more collaboration with creators as well, who are going to start referencing Kai on their Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and so on. And of course, yeah, in 3 weeks, big hackathon in Lisbon. So there's going to be also a huge sprint. Not exactly sure what we're going to be focused on as a marketing team. That's still TBD. But yeah, I guess it's our mission is still to bring more people to Kai. Traffic is growing fairly well, but I think we need to aim to double it next week. So let's see what we'll come up with.
Nice, amazing. And also, we need to make sure that we don't release the product the same day than GTA 6, because now it's officially coming in October, November. I don't even remember. But yeah, nice. And so hyped for the next hackathon. We will have some interesting things to do here. And yeah, I think that's it for this episode. We cover, yeah, basically the design and every part of how we work on it, the branding also. And I definitely think it's very important for people to understand how we work, and that can give some inspiration here. And also, we still be very interested to know if other company working like this. But I still think we are the first company that doing this from scratch, because we start our branding at the same moment that AI was able to do those kind of things. So maybe, who knows? Nice. Do you have a final word or a final thing that you want to share?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's make sure we drop some assets that we showed now on the website, so you guys can check the blog article, and we'll put some more information there, some visuals and so on. And hope this was helpful. And I think, yeah, nothing else to add. It was a pleasure. And now let's keep building.
Nice, amazing. Then, guys, check the description if you're looking on socials. You can find the article, and yeah, we'll provide you some graphics and an asset on the article, and then see you next week for the episode 5 of How We Grow at Kai. See you,
See you
guys.
guys.